Welcome back to Real Estate with Mariah and Spenc. Today we are going to be talking about the pros and the cons of both buying a fixer-upper home and the pros and the cons of buying a move-in ready home. So you're definitely going to want to listen in until the very end today. If you are someone thinking about buying a home in the near future, this episode is for you, and I hope that at the end of it you have clarity as to what might be best for you right now in your particular season of life. And we have had experience with both of these, and we've had purchasing and living in ourselves, and even buying one that was what I would consider kind of in between a fixer-upper and a move-in ready home. And so we're going to speak from our own personal experience as well as the experience we've had helping so many home buyers over the years.
Yeah. And I mean, right now we're in a real estate market to where you can take advantage of the more homes and opportunity that are on market. We've almost doubled in inventory over the last month and a half, which is really, really awesome, unique, and an opportunity for our buyers and clients. So if you can look at it, take advantage of the things that are in place right now for you guys as consumers, and let us help you find the best deal, whether it's a new construction, whether it's a flipper, whether it's a fixer-upper, because we can do all three right now, and we have great opportunities set in front of us.
Absolutely. Okay, so jumping right in, the pros and the cons of a move-in ready home. So let's talk about the pros first. Immediate move-in. You don't have to wait. You don't have to delay. I mean, obviously, you can live there while you're fixing up your home. But if you're doing things like, say you're replacing all the floors, what a hassle to move your home in and then move it out and then move it back. Like, nobody should have to go through that. So
some people do, and they enjoy it though. They enjoy that process.
I doubt it. I doubt it. I doubt they enjoy it.
No, they really do.
I don't believe them if they say they do.
Well, they tell me they do.
I don't believe it one bit.
But it is an option.
Yes, but immediate move-in. 2 is fewer surprises. So anytime you buy an older home or a fixer-upper of any kind, there's probably going to be more than what you're expecting. I know even with this house, we did a full remodel on it. Basically, everything you could replace, almost, except for without changing the structure and like the layout, without knocking down walls and that kind of thing. And there were still things like, a door over here stops working, and then that it's our first summer here, and that we find out the AC isn't working up to par. Like, just little things that definitely are going to come with older homes, and you just kind of have to expect that and count.
Which here's a quick question for you though. Have you ever had a client, buy a house and then 2-3 months later give you a text and say, "Hey, Spenc, Mariah, this isn't working," or, "Man, I found this out about the home after I purchased it." Has that ever happened to you?
It has.
And it's not the best feeling though, when a client reaches out to you and says, "Hey, this is what's going on," and because ultimately you help them buy the property, and you guided them with the sale. But that is the point of our inspection period.
Yes, but sometimes there's things though that I'm talking like for example, these things that happen with our house.
Yes,
we're not on the inspection because they came up and stopped working the way they're supposed to.
Well,
after
they work, they're functioning, they're just not up to par to my standard.
Yes,
and that's not even the machine's fault.
Right,
it's just the layout. Purpose. Like, for instance, my thermostat, it's downstairs rather than upstairs. So my downstairs is reaching a super cool temperature, but my upstairs is like 5 to 10 degrees more, just because there's no thermostat upstairs. So that is some work, sweat equity, as I would like to call it, to gain value for you personally, but also as a resale asset, because you can get that money back when you decide to resell it.
Right. The next pro to buying a move-in ready home is that it is easier to stick to your budget. So like we said, surprises will come up when you're buying an older home. It just happens. But it can be easier to stick to your budget if you don't have to be dealing with those things, and your home is
absolutely
newly move-in ready. And then last pro of a move-in ready home is that it might be easier to get a loan. If you have an FHA loan, for example, your lender is going to be a lot stricter on the requirements of what they will give you that loan on. So if there's, a plethora of things going on in the house that are not up to par, then your lender might not give you that loan for certain, depending on what your loan is.
And I mean, the differences between like conventional FHA, they're still seeking and wanting to give you the loan. Yes, they have an X amount. Check with your lender, depending on the area. Different areas require different amounts that you can go up to. For like $364,000 might be the loan amount, is what I'm trying to say. But check with your lender on that. But they're just looking for hazardous materials within the home sale. So, I mean, open wiring, moss on the roof. They're really big on that. Just the hazardous items to be taken care of. So if that's you and you're looking to sell and you want to sell potentially with multiple loan types, look at the condition of your home, get rid of the hazards, update your fire alarms, and you should be good to go. Talk to your real estate professional, though, to let you know if, hey, this can qualify for an FHA or not.
Okay, and then cons of buying a move-in ready home. Then we'll get to the pros and cons of the fixer-upper. So con number one of a move-in ready home is it's more expensive because you're paying for convenience. And it's very true. Like, I know for this home that we have right now, it seemed like it was a lot to pay when we were also having to put so much money into it to update it the way that we wanted to. But I felt good about it because I knew that buying a home in the same neighborhood with the same amount of square footage that was already like completely updated would have cost so much more. And when you're paying that higher amount, say, you're purchasing a home for $100,000 more than what you could be purchasing a home for, if that makes sense, because it's move-in ready, then your monthly payment is going to be higher. So yes, we had to put in quite a bit of money into the home when we purchased it, but our monthly payment is going to stay at that lower price than it would have been if we were to just go ahead and buy that home that was already fixed up, that was a higher price, if that makes sense.
And the cool part, though, is once you do buy a home you put work into, as I like to call sweat equity, you're building the equity while living in it, or even doing the work before you move in. You can do like a refinance. You can, and that's dependent on the market. You need good interest rates to make sense, but you can do a refinance. You can buy, work, refi, get money back, pay off the debts that you created while building the equity in your home to gain a higher value when you refinance. But that is a realistic way. If you want to build wealth for a secondary property as well, I see a lot of people do that. And it's ultimately to gain a down payment on a current investment so they spend no money out of pocket. And that sounds really fun to me. And I love it when I see sellers or even buyers do that. It's fabulous.
That's awesome.
I think it's genius work. And it's complicated sometimes, but don't make it complicated. Rely on the professionals to help you out. Do the quality work. When you're doing a remodel, you'll get the reward. You'll get the reward.
I love that. Okay, so next con of buying a move-in ready home, and this one is very true, is there's limited opportunity to customize. I know I've had many times when I've been showing homes to buyers in lovely neighborhoods like Creekside, for example, in South Salem, where the homes are certainly not fixer-uppers. They're, maybe built in like 2010 or so, just to give example, 2010, 2015. But the buyers would want to put in all this money into the home anyway, because even though it's completely move-in ready, it looks great to, most people, but to them, it's just not their style. Like, say there's white kitchen cabinets and they really like a different taste or whatever it is. They would want to do quite a bit of work to update it to their standards. If you're buying at the top of your budget because it is already move-in ready to most people's eye, then you're going to be spending even more because you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's something, there is limited opportunity sometimes to customize if you're buying a move-in ready home that's at the top of your budget.
Everybody has limited resources too.
Yes,
I only have X amount of cash I can spend, and usually that's going to be going towards a down payment, my closing costs, to get me into that newer build that I don't have to do anything with.
Right.
But depending on the person, everybody wants to do things.
Right.
Everybody wants to make a room bigger. But if you're buying a new construction or something that doesn't fit your needs, maybe you're looking into the wrong house and we need to find a different one
Right.
for you. But if you have the funds and resources, go for it.
Right. Okay, so next is competition between home buyers. It is true when we see a home that's, not that homes that need work are never have competition. That's certainly not the case, but there definitely is the most competition on a home that's just that great solid, move-in ready home. All the buyers are going for it, and you're going to get a lot more competition on that.
Yeah, and we've been seeing we've seen this over the last few years. The competition it's been with competitive buyers has been unreal. But the best part is we're seeing more inventory. More inventory has been coming out over the last month, and that's been fabulous for our clients. They've had more options, but it is creating more exposure for our sellers. They're having to sit a little bit longer on market. They're having to trust maybe our CMA a little bit more than their personal opinion value of what they think their property is worth, because this real estate market's changing dramatically.
Okay, this last one is you might have a hard time finding something you truly love if you're really picky that's move-in ready. And like I said, I've had buyers even in the like $600,000 range who just had such a hard time finding something because they're going into all these houses and they're beautiful homes, but they only like a very specific particular style. And it's almost like if you're wanting to buy something like that, then you're probably not going to find something that you don't have to do anything to if you're being that specific about your home style, unless you just customize a home yourself. You might want to just go the new construction route if that's the case.
Yes.
Okay, so now let's talk about the pros and the cons of fixer-upper homes. Better value. I think that
it depends.
It depends.
It depends. What type of money are you willing? Because there's all types of fixer-uppers. You could buy a mansion, that's been abandoned or foreclosed on. And what is the type of money you have as your back pocket to put into this home to get it up to par? Because think about it, the more square footage you have, the more money you're going to spend. But all the customizations. All those customizations, guys.
No,
so if you're just doing a 3-bed, 2-bath, 4-bed, 2-bath build, 2,300 square foot, regular residential home, usually no problem.
Right. That's so true to keep in mind that the bigger the square footage you're looking for, the bigger your budget's going to be. I know like I said, for our house, if we were to do the same remodel on a 1,500 square foot home, it would have been significantly less because obviously, when you're putting floors in and just everything, the more square footage, your costs will go up quite a bit. So that is definitely something to keep in mind. You're going to have a lot bigger remodel budget to work with if you're wanting more square footage. But you can end up having better value there.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And then especially resale value. It could be a great opportunity. Next is you can personalize. We already talked about that, but that is a pro. Lower property taxes could certainly be the case. Investment opportunity. So you can turn around and sell it and make more than you maybe could have if you didn't do anything to it in a couple years or whenever you decide to move.
And that's a big thing though. In right now in this market is the property tax and then the area that the home is. That is within. That's been one of the bigger things. A lot of my clients have been asking me because they're more concerned about their mortgage rate with the rise of recent interest rates. And by the way, they dipped a little bit over this last week, by the way, which is good for consumers. But they're really worried about their mortgage, and that's gonna stick with them. So your area really does reflect upon your mortgage in those property taxes.
Yes, that's very true. Okay, so lower property taxes, investment opportunity. The cons of buying a fixer-upper. First con you really need to consider is you may need temporary housing.
Oh, yeah.
That's huge. You might need to, stay with a family member or, rent an Airbnb, short-term rental, whatever it is for you. You might need some sort of short-term housing. So that's something to consider. Number 2 is unknown problems. Like we already talked about, but you just don't know what could come up. And you definitely need to expect more than what you're expecting. Account for more than what maybe you're expecting in your budget. And then number 3 is high risk.
High risk.
So that was the last thing.
Explain that a little bit.
Well, So when you're buying a fixer upper, I think the risk is basically just you don't know necessarily what you could be getting into. Of course, like I said, that's what the inspection's for. So you know up front, for example, you know if you need to replace the roof in 2 years from now. Your inspector will tell you.
Okay.
But, with an older home, things could happen. I guess it's higher risk. I don't really consider it that personally. In a way, I feel like it's lower risk in a lot of ways. But that's just
depends on your backing and what you're comfortable with. Usually the higher risk is higher investment made. And usually those are the more unique builds and in location with the money that goes into any investment you purchase. So that's a really good point.
Yes. Okay. So thank you for watching. If you watched this video all the way through, be sure to hit the thumbs up button, share this video with a friend who is thinking about buying or selling real estate. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell because we do come on here every single week giving real estate tips, and we will see you guys next week.